Do you want to hear something absolutely insane? I've taught thousands of fearful adults to swim without ever entering the water with them. And I mean thousands of swimmers using a completely virtual process that has a 99% success rate and is done completely at your pace. In this program, you will transform from fearful to confident. Hi, everyone. My name is Coach Jeff Wood. I was a 3-time Notre Dame school record holder turned swim school owner. I gave that all up so that I could launch a completely virtual adult learn to swim community that transforms every adult swimmer from fearful to 100% confident. And I am here today to teach you my exclusive 6-step process that has worked for thousands of adults, as I've previously mentioned. Here is the process that we're going to talk about today. Let's get started. Step 1, how do we achieve relaxation out of the water? This is the most important step in learning to swim, and it's the step that nearly all swim programs skip, and is the reason why 70% of adult swimming lessons fail. We are taught to power our way from point A to point B. Let me explain. When we bring unaddressed fear into the water with us, it creates tension in our muscles. Tension in our muscles makes us dense in the water. Density in the water not only makes us lower in the water, it makes us have to work harder to go from that point A to point B, which ends up making us more tired more quickly. So, at Career-Based Swim and in the Career-Based Swim community, we have 4 steps to ensure that fear does not enter the water. Step number 1, we use mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is extremely important. If you're an adult that hasn't learned how to swim, one of 2 things most likely is happening. Number 1, you had a traumatic experience as a child. And as we start to enter a pool deck, think about swimming, enter the water, that traumatic experience immediately comes front and center. And so we can't be present in the here and now. Or we are ruminating on thoughts, future tripping on what's to come. What happens if I can't touch the bottom? What happens if I choke on water? What happens if I go into the deep end and can't swim? That, again, takes us out of the present in the here and the now. And so we use mindfulness meditation to keep the past in the past, keep the future in the future, and find presence in the here and now. It helps relax our central nervous system. We also use a box breathing technique, which is a 4-second inhale diaphragmatically, 4-second hold at the top, 4-second exhale, 4-second hold at the bottom. This is a great process to also help relax our central nervous system. We use a visualization process, which is extremely important because if we can think into existence the fears or the aspects of learning to swim that create fear, and we can do that out of the water, and we can use that process coupled with our relaxation strategies, then we're able to move a lot of that fear, anxiety, tension, and apprehension out of the water first before ever entering into the water. And when we use all of these strategies with a self-check-in process, this is the key to us learning, which means on a 1 to 5 scale where we remove the 4, we rate ourselves before every single step in learning to swim. If we are a 1, 2, or 3 in that rating scale, that is our red light. We absolutely don't go. And only when we're a 5 do we progress to the next incrementally more difficult part of the learn to swim process. And when we do that, we can now ensure that we're bringing a peaceful foundation into the water with us, which brings us to step 2 in our 6-step process, how we achieve peaceful water entry. Now, this is extremely important. So, with a peaceful out-of-water experience, we now bring that to the top step of the water. And we go into our self-check-in process. Are you a 5? If you are a 5, we get to move down a step and then repeat our self-check-in process. If we are not a 5, we go into our stop relaxation strategies, which are 3 rounds of box breathing. Where are we safe, right? So if we're on our top step and we're not a 5, we realize we're safe by sitting on that top step. We are safe because our head is above the water and we can breathe. We go into the relaxation strategies of box breathing to help continue to relax our central nervous system while we observe our surroundings. Then we go back to our self-check-in process after we go through that stop process and those rounds of breathing, and we re-rate ourselves. If we are a 5, we get to move down a step. If we're not, we just go back to our relaxation strategies, and we stay here until we achieve a 5. And then, once we achieve a 5, we go back into this process again. Now, I want to show you what this looks like in real time. Because it isn't just me saying it. This is one of our swimmers on day 1, sitting on the top step, making her way down to the second step, continuing to go through the relaxation strategies. Notice how tense she is, but going through breathing, slowly able to take one hand off. And then we sit. And we sit. She sat for 10 hours at this process. But watch what happens when you honor that relaxation process. By day 4, she looks completely at peace. And then by day 5, she's entering the water. And so if you carry large amounts of fear, this is the process that ensures you don't bring that unaddressed fear into the water with you. Next step, peaceful breath hold. How do we hold our breath? So what we do is we bring this progression into every subsequent step of learning to swim. So we start at the top. We go to our self-check-in process. Are we comfortable? Yes. Then we can progress to the next step. If we're not, we go through our relaxation strategies. And we do this starting with just dipping our chin into the water. From there, we go to our chin and our mouth. Notice how we're breaking everything down step by step. From there, we go chin, mouth, and nose. Finally, into chin, mouth, nose, and the top of our head. All right? Now, as we go through this process, here are 4 major mistakes that our swimmers have made in the past that I want you to avoid today. Number 1, forcefully submerging our face in the water. Okay? If you're not completely at peace when we do this, guess what happens? Water gets up into our nose. I promise by this picture, it does not feel good. Major mistake number 2, we move way too fast. Once again, getting water up into our nose. We do not want that to happen. Number 3, we blow bubbles in the water. What, Coach Jeff? What do you mean? You can't blow bubbles. Every instructor I've ever had or every piece of learning material I've ever consumed tells me I should be blowing bubbles. So why shouldn't we be blowing bubbles? Watch what happens when you blow bubbles. Our body starts to sink. We release all of the buoyancy which is created by air in our lungs, and we start sinking down to the bottom of the pool. We don't want to do that. It is a shortcut strategy that inexperienced instructors use to keep water from going up into your nose. Okay, but when we apply our relaxation strategies and principles, we don't have to worry about water going in our nose. Mistake number 4, practicing our submersions vertically instead of horizontally, meaning going straight up and down. If you've ever entered a in-person learn to swim class before, Maybe you've heard the term bobs. A bob is when you go up and down pretty forcefully in the water to learn how to blow air out of your nose or do bubbles as you're submerging. We don't want to do that. We want to go horizontally in the process as we showed in the prior pictures. Once we have done that progression and we're able to achieve 20 seconds of breath hold, then we go into our front floating progression. Again, bringing in our peaceful relaxation process into front floating. When we do that, step 1 is taking a deep diaphragmatic breath, holding onto the wall. Step 2, we slowly lower our face into the water. Once again, slowly lower our face in the water, even though now at this point we're comfortable holding our breath for up to 20 seconds. Step 3, we allow our body to go limp. Fully relaxed, okay? We release any additional tension that's in the body, go completely relaxed. And then we allow the water to do what the water does best, which is hold us up or lift us up in the water. Step 5, we release from the wall. And now we're front floating. Here are the 4 mistakes that I've seen so many swimmers make when learning how to front float. Mistake number 1, we don't release the tension. We're not fully relaxed. When that happens, our muscles are dense, like we covered earlier, and we sink. All right, here's what it looks like to carry too much tension in with you, okay? No matter what you do, the water's not going to pull you up to the surface. Our legs just sink, okay? So we don't want to do that. Mistake number 2, we try to recreate what we think is a perfect float. All right, maybe you've seen it in a movie, you've seen it at a swimming pool with other swimmers where floating looks like our arms and our feet are up on top of the water. Guess what? Not everyone is able to achieve a perfect front float like that. A lot of this has to do with our unique body composition of where we carry our fat versus our muscle. Muscle on a relative value is more dense relative to water, where adipose tissue is less dense relative to water. So depending on how we carry that, we're all going to have a unique body composition of fat to muscle, and that means we're all going to have a unique floating position. So let's not try to create what we think is perfect. Instead, we focus inward on complete states of relaxation, and then we're able to naturally find where our unique front floating position is. Mistake number 3, we look up with our head. It's pretty convenient to want to lift our head up to see where we're going. All right, but the problem is our head weighs a lot, and it distributes that weight to the bottom portion of our body, and we end up sinking. All right, so we don't want to do that. Mistake number 4, we don't get enough air. The more air we have in our lungs, the more buoyant we are in the water. Learning how to take a deep diaphragmatic breath, which we cover inside of the course, will teach you how to increase your total breath capacity by 30%. Super important to get more air in our lungs. As I mentioned, more air in our lungs means we're able to float better. And when we don't have enough air in our lungs, it's really difficult to overcome any of the density that's created in our body, either from our muscle mass or by tension. All right, moving on. Once we've learned how to do this, we don't make any of those mistakes. We move on to peaceful propulsion and how we learn how to swim 10 yards before learning how to take a breath. Because now that we've created the peaceful foundation, making propulsion/swimming is much, much easier. So generating forward movement in the water. So instead of forcing our way by swimming freestyle like this, which we're sinking in the water, we use gliding to peacefully interact in the water. Instead of tense freestyle, where we can only go very brief distances, we used relaxed movements in the water. Notice how peaceful she is. Beautiful. These movements work. They've worked on over 5,000 adults. They will work for you. And everyone in my program learns how to swim without fear and with 100% confidence. Because this allows us, this peaceful gliding, relaxing, allows us to work with the properties of water that hold us up instead of fighting against the properties just to get from point A to point B, because we haven't learned how to release that tension. And when we do that, we can put it all together and learn how to get a fresh new breath, which is what? The definition of swimming. And when we do all of that, learning to breathe is as simple as gently lifting our head up. Let's show that one more time because it is so peaceful. 2 smooth pull downs, and then 1 gentle lifting of our head up to get a fresh breath. But don't take my word for it.
That I learned from your program. Here's the thing, but doing so with confidence and complete relaxation. I saw that when you truly are out of the fight, flight, freeze responses, and you just trust the water, you just don't really have to work that hard.
When you trust the water, you just don't have to work that hard. Because the secret formula to learning how to swim is a peaceful mind plus a peaceful body plus a peaceful breath and a little bit of swimming technique. This is the formula for learning how to swim. Remember, the formula is not technique plus technique plus technique like your local swim programs do is how you learn how to swim. That is not the formula. The formula, very simply, is a peaceful mind, a peaceful body, and a peaceful breath with a little bit of technique.
When I started this whole journey, I literally thought there was people who were like good in the water, who were water people, and people who weren't. And of course, you know which one I thought I was. But through doing this program in a safe, gentle, supportive way, I overcame that now. And I see that anyone can be a water person. Anyone can have, even those who have had past trauma can overcome that. And they can build a beautiful relationship with the water. And because of the way it's structured, at the end of it, you will literally feel not only inspired and accomplished, but you will feel empowered to go do anything you want to do in your life. Because if you can face one of your biggest fears and overcome it in a really beautiful way, there's nothing stopping you for what you can do in other areas of your life.
Amazing. If you can face your fears in the water, there is nothing that you can't achieve in life. And it is true. I have witnessed it. So many adults will come into the program feeling guilty, feeling ashamed, feeling embarrassed that they can't swim, and they leave with this newfound state of confidence that extends far beyond the reaches of the water. They bring that into every area of their life. I urge you to experience that transformation for yourself.
Just trust the water, trust yourself, and trust the process of what you're trying to achieve. I'm a person on the sidelines to swim. You have this mindset of that you want to learn how to do whatever it is that your fear is of water, whether it's to learn for safety, whether it's to explore things and a better experience when you go on vacations. And when I go on vacations, I want to participate in the water. So much I want to do now that I know how to swim.
Now is the time that we start thinking ahead. What do I want to do when I learn how to swim? And this is a new statement. We have to sit with this and realize that a whole new world of possibility and opportunity opens up for us when we learn how to swim. No longer do we get to go on vacation and avoid the beaches, avoid the oceans. We get to enjoy that experience with friends, with family, with loved ones. No longer do we have to sit on the sidelines of that backyard birthday party barbecue. We get to get in the water, show off to our friends, enjoy it, be present, not spend days leading up to a water event in a state of trauma or panic because we're ruminating on what happens when that event happens. Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be safe? We now get to look forward to these life experiences. So my question for you today is, was that helpful? Do you feel like you got at least one lesson without the scars of in-person swimming lessons? Or through this process, will you save a tiny percentage of time by avoiding the programs that don't work and using these 6 steps that do? Would you like to dive deeper into learning to swim without fear and with 100% confidence, the relaxing way? Then I urge you to join the Caribe Swim community. And inside this community, you will find on-demand Learn to Swim course, the same course that has taught all these thousands of adults to completely transform. We will have weekly live Q&A sessions with me and Coach Meredith. We have 30-day accelerator programs where we help hold your hand. If the on-demand side of learning is a little bit too far of a stretch for you, then we help guide you every single day for 30 days to transform into learning how to swim without fear and with 100% confidence. And you get access to our 7-day retreats here in beautiful San Juan, Puerto Rico. And the best part, I think, is you get to interact with adults going through this experience just like you. Some of them might be a little bit more progressed and they can give you tips and tricks on what worked for them. Some of them you might look back at and help in their journey along the way. But we all are a community together, helping each other overcome fear and swim with 100% confidence. And in this community, here are some of the thousands of adults that we have transformed into being swimmers, just like you are going to be once you accomplish your goals inside of the Caribe Swim community. Fun fact, out of the over 5,000 adults we've taught using this course, only 1 did not graduate. We have a 99.8% success rate, and I am not looking to make that number 2. You can start your transformation today by clicking on the link in the description box below. I can't wait to see you guys on the inside. Let's transform together. Thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you guys in the community soon.